Greenland is the world's largest island and an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark. It lies between the Arctic and Atlantic Oceans and has a population of roughly 56,000 people, most of whom live along ice-free coastal towns and speak Greenlandic and Danish. Nuuk is the capital. Greenland's economy is small, dominated by fishing and shrimp exports, supported by growing tourism and an annual subsidy from Denmark that remains a major part of government revenue. 80% of Greenland's land is covered by the Greenland ice sheet, about 2.9 million cubic kilometers of ice. If the ice sheet were to melt entirely, it would raise global sea levels by roughly 7.4 meters. As the planet warms, Greenland's ice is thinning and retreating. That process is opening new coastal lands, exposing minerals deposits, and making northern sea routes more navigable during parts of the year. These environmental changes put Greenland's people and ecosystem squarely on the front lines of climate change. Historically, Greenland has been home to Inuit cultures for millennia and hosted Norse settlers in the medieval period. It passed under Danish control during the colonial era and in modern times has moved towards self-government. Home rule began in 1979 and was expanded in 2009. Political life in Greenland now centers on balancing greater economic self-reliance and local control with continued ties to Denmark for defense and foreign policy. Beneath the ice and along Greenland's rocky coastlands lies the reason many governments and corporations are paying attention. Minerals that are strategically important in the 21st century. Geologists have identified substantial deposits of rare earth elements, uranium, iron, copper, zinc, lead, and other critical minerals. Rare earths elements such as neodymium, praseodymium, and dysprosium are essential for electric motors, wind turbines, advanced electronics, and many defense technologies. Greenland's deposits, particularly at projects like Quanfzelt, are among the world's most significant known concentrations of these resources. Uranium is present alongside many rare earth deposits in Greenland. After a period of legislative change, Greenland's parliament reinstated a ban on uranium mining in 2021 amid environmental and local opposition. That decision effectively halted plans for large open-pit projects where uranium is co-located with rare earths. The ban has considerable economic and geopolitical implications because it constrains immediate large-scale development of those deposits. Exploiting Greenland's mineral wealth is technically and economically challenging. The island lacks roads and heavy infrastructure, summers are short, costs are high, and processing many ores requires sophisticated, often polluting refining facilities. Those technical realities mean that while resources are present, turning them into steady production is neither simple nor cheap, a fact that tempers but does not erase strategic interest. Beyond minerals, Greenland has long-standing military and strategic value. During World War II and the Cold War, the island served as a site for weather stations, air routes, and early warning installations. The United States built Thule Air Base in northwestern Greenland and operated radar and missile warning systems there. During the Cold War, the US also ran secret projects such as Camp Century and Project Icebomb that explored subsurface facilities in the ice. Today, Thule remains a critical US and NATO asset for Arctic surveillance and space domain awareness. Greenland's location gives it outside strategic importance for control of polar approaches between North America and Eurasia. All of these factors help explain why Greenland returned to global headlines in 2019. In August of that year, US President Donald Trump publicly confirmed he had raised the idea of United States buying Greenland, a remark that came after earlier private discussions and media reports. The proposal immediately drew strong rebukes. Denmark and Greenland both rejected the notion. Denmark's prime minister declared unambiguously that Greenland is not for sale, and Greenlandic leaders insisted their land would not be traded as property. The remark also produced a diplomatic rift that includes the cancellation of planned presidential visit to Copenhagen. Why would a US president even consider such an idea? Analysts point to a mix of strategic and resources consideration. Control or influence over Greenland could give any great power better positioning in the Arctic, from early warning radar and airfields to staging posts, and would secure proximity to shipping lanes and emerging northern resources frontiers. On the resource side, the US and allies are anxious to diversify supplies of rare earths and other critical minerals currently dominated by a few global suppliers. Greenland's known deposits therefore look attractive from a security and industrial perspective. The international reactions was shifted. Denmark's government rejected the idea forcefully. European Union and NATO partners emphasized Greenland's existing status within the Kingdom of Denmark and protection of international law. Greenland's own politicians state self-determination and control over any resource deals. Observers pointed out that any unilateral attempt by one state to acquire territory from another, particularly between NATO partners, would be legally unprecedented and politically explosive. Since 2019, the episode has remained a symbol and a warning light for broader Arctic competition. China and Russia have also increased Arctic activity. China through research programs and commercial interest in mines and shipping, and Russia by expanding military infrastructure in the Arctic. Greenland has sought to navigate these currents by courting diversified partnership while protecting its environment and asserting that Greenlanders must control the terms of development. Recent legal and political disputes, including corporate claims tied to mining projects and the consequences of Greenland's uranium ban, demonstrate how contentious and high stakes this balancing act has become. What does this mean going forward? Greenland's importance will be shaped by three connected forces: climate change, resource demand, and geopolitics. Melting ice will continue to expose land and alter Arctic axis. Global demand for clean energy minerals will keep rare earths and battery materials strategically valuable, and geopolitical rivalry will push states to secure supply chains and surveillance capability in the north. At the same time, Greenlandic politics and public opinion vary of environmental damage and protective of local control will remain decisive in whether and how resources are developed. To conclude, Greenland is a large in territory but small in population. Its fragile environment and Inuit heritage contrast with the hard strategic calculations of minerals access and military geography. The Trump episode in 2019 was a dramatic public movement that revealed underlying strategic priorities, but it did not create them. As long as climate change reshapes the Arctic and the global race for critical minerals continues, Greenland will not be remote curiosity. It will persistent node in global politics where economic hopes, environmental risks, and questions of sovereignty intersect. In summary, Greenland is a land of rich paradoxes, vast territory with few people, ancient indigenous culture on one hand, yet sought after by modern superpowers on the other. Its history as a colony has given way to self-rule, but question of sovereignty remains sensitive. The 2019-2026 Greenland controversy showed how a strategic Arctic island became entangled in global politics. The Greenland controversy showed how a strategic Arctic island became entangled in global politics. As Arctic ice melts and the world's demands for critical minerals grows, Greenland will likely stay in the spotlight. For now, all sides emphasize dialogue and partnership with Greenland's people firmly in charge of their own land.